Hello, so we are going to continue our idea of inequalities, and this time we're going to extend it to a system of inequalities. Well, we just did inequalities in the last video, and inequalities, we look for a solution set, and the solution set was that shaded region that we got. Well, now we're going to look at a system of linear inequalities. Well, a system of equations, how did we find the solution when we were graphing? Remember, we looked for where the graphs overlapped, and where they overlap or where they intersect is their solution. Okay? Well, we're going to look at it a little bit different for inequalities, because remember, the solution set is that whole shaded region. So my answer is going to look a little bit different than just one point. It's still going to be a solution region. So let's look at what that looks like. So let's look at the system. Y is greater than negative x plus 3, and y is less than x minus 1. Okay, so remember, a system of equations is a set of two or more equations that have to be solved at the exact same time. But to do that with graphing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve one at a time and look at how their answer works together. So let's start with this first one, and I'm going to graph this one in blue. So how do I graph this? Remember, I start at positive 3, and my slope's negative 1. So I'm going to go down 1 over 1. And remember, with inequalities, there's two different things that we've got to do. We've got to determine if it's a dotted or solid line, and we've got to determine where the shading is. So if we look at this first line, is this going to be dotted or solid? This is going to be dotted because it is not equal to. So this is going to be a dotted line. And remember, that means my solution occurs on one of two sides. Either my solution is up here or my solution is down here. Okay, so I am going to determine where my solution is by picking a point. So remember, we said if we can, let's pick 0, 0. So I'm going to pick 0, 0. Is 0 greater than negative 0 plus 3? Is 0 greater than 3? Nope. 0 is not greater than 3. So 0, 0 for this line, this blue line, is not part of the solution side. So my solution side for the blue line is the other side. Now shade lightly because we're going to have two graphs on one. Okay, let's graph the next one. Let's do it in red. So if I graph this line, first of all, is it going to be dotted or solid? Well, we know this is going to be dotted as well. I'm going to start at negative 1, and I'm going to go up 1 over 1. Now, if these were equations, we would know our answer because we see where they intersect. But this isn't, these aren't equations, these are inequalities. And we said this was a dotted line, so I'm going to draw a dotted line. Now I need to do shading with this one. Now I'm going to pick a point. I may pick 0, 0 again, but I'm going to do it in a different color just so you know it's a different equation. So if we pick 0, 0, and I plug that in to my equation, I would get, is 0 less than x minus 1? Oops, that was supposed to be a 0. Is 0 less than x, which is 0, minus 1? Is 0 less than negative 1? Well, no. 0 is not less than negative 1. So for this red graph, we're also going to graph on the side that is not part of 0, 0. So I'm guessing you can see where that solution is. That solution is where both graphs intersect at the same time. You can see where they both overlap. So the solution region for my system is where they both overlap at the same time. So if I want to pick a possible solution, I would need to pick a possible solution that is in that purple shaded region, the region where they both overlap. So for example, I may pick the possible solution 6, 1. And I could check this. Is 1 greater than negative 6 plus 3? Is 1 greater than negative 3? Yep, that works in the first one. Is 1 less than 6 minus 1? Is 1 less than 5? Yes, that's true too. So that possible solution of 6, 1 works in both inequalities at the exact same time. So this is a system of inequalities. Now, when you're doing this in Math Excel does not want you to highlight all 3 regions. They just want you to highlight the solution region. Keep that in mind when it comes to doing Math Excel. Okay, I want you to try a problem. Let's look at another example for solving a system of inequalities. So let's look at the example. Let's do y is greater than or equal to negative 1/2 x minus 1. And then let's do the equation x is less than 3. Okay, so take a second, hit pause, and see if you can come up with the solution region to this system of inequalities. All right, so I'm going to graph this first one in blue. So we have y is greater than or equal to negative 1/2 x minus 1. And I'm going to think about whether this is dotted or solid. And I know this is going to be solid because it's equal to. So I'm going to start at negative 1, and I'm going to go down 1 over 2. And I'm going to keep going, or up 1 over 2. And this is going to be a solid line. It looks like this. Now, remember, this divides my graph into 2 regions, and I have to determine where my solutions are for this particular graph. So one of the easiest things to pick, let's pick the point 0, 0. Let me get, so 0, 0. I like 0, 0. If it's not on my line, I'm going to pick 0, 0. So if I pick 0, 0, and I test it, is 0 greater than or equal to negative 1/2 of 0 minus 1? Is 0 greater than or equal to 0 minus 1? Is 0 greater than or equal to negative 1? Well, yeah, 0 is greater than or equal to negative 1, which means that my solution to this piece of the graph is right here. Okay, so 0, 0 is a possible solution for the blue line. Now if we graph the other line, x is less than 3, we'll graph it in red. Is this going to be dotted or solid? Well, this one's going to be dotted, and it's kind of a funky line. What does x equals look like? Right, it's a vertical line at 3. So I have a dotted line at 3, and we looked at one just like this in our last video. And I'm going to pick a point as well. And you know what? I'm going to stick with 0, 0. So let's pick 0, 0 as a test. Is 0 less than 3? Well, yeah, 0 is less than 3. That's a true statement, which tells me that when I shade my line, I'm going to shade it over here. Do you see my solution region? My solution region is the place where these 2 graphs overlap, where the red and the blue meet. They make purple. So my solution region is anywhere where those 2 graphs overlap. So if I wanted to talk about a possible solution is the one we actually used for testing. Is 0, 0 is a possible solution. So is the ordered pair 2, 8. 2, 8 is a solution. I could even go to negative 10, 5. Negative 10, 5 is a solution. So those are all possible solutions anywhere in that purple shaded region. So this is a system of linear inequalities.